Zeke, the trashiest, shortest, motherless, and weakest in the family, stood against Leo, this freckled who they say is a prodigy, and that in the past life folded our boy until he begged to stop hitting so hard like a good girl. But now Zeke knows this dude pulled some strings to make this duel happen, so he could humiliate him because he has direct bloodline with the main family, even though they're cousins. In his past life, he couldn't even compete with the 4 menaces of the main family. But he was constantly bullied by the 12 cousins, one of them being Freckles. Zeke, you haven't learned your lesson. Trash like you shouldn't come up here. But our boy shrugs and then replies that he will rearrange Leo's face if he says something like that again. The guy just give him a head pat, saying that a short trash like him has no chance in this family. Boom! Suddenly, bro just got hit by a critical strike. Freckles is agonizing with pain while the organizer shouts that he hadn't announced the start of the fight. Zeke just replies that no one shouts ready in a battlefield. Dude took one because he was distracted. The referee feels a chill with that lieu of bloodlust. Then Freckles tells him that it's fine. He will show why Zeke is an inferior piece of trash. Fight starts and Freckles rushes. He feels some punches, but is confused since Zeke's attacked for doing 0 damage. Sure, he just took damage because his guard was low. Right there, he notices Zeke closing his left fist, and Damro went to give him 30 seconds will show what for me. Since the kids had no choice but to fight with all they had. And there was the little menace about a fold Freckles while everyone just laughed saying he was a poor loser. So pathetic no one could believe he had direct bloodline. Now, fast forward after Brow dropped the first body and called everyone to throw hands. But despite our boy absolutely demolishing that last guy, there's still some brain-dead idiots who apparently didn't get the lesson. And the biggest idiot of them all, this clown is named Jinvertak. This dude steps up all confident challenging Zeke to a match. He's practically vibrating with cockiness, ready to prove he's built different. But Zeke man's just standing there looking bored as hell. Like, really just you? So, you know what our boy does? He straight up tells Jack and Bro, you're gonna need backup for this to even be entertaining. And then he calls out another student by name Liam Stone, who's Jeekin's personal bodyguard. Zeke's basically saying, you're so trash. You need a 2v1 just to make this interesting for me. Jin's ego is shattered. The thought of needing help to beat Zeke is the ultimate humiliation, and he's absolutely not having it. But Zeke keeps poking the bear talking that good, and now Jeekin, seeing red, ready to shut him up permanently. As they step into the arena, the instructor gives Zeke this death glare and warns him, don't you dare move before I give the signal. Zeke just smirks because guess what? Jin actually did bring his servant along after all, which makes this even more fun. Now, here's the thing about Liam in his past life. This dude was an absolute legend. We're talking the mercenary king level of badass. Back in the day, he served under Jeekin and enrolled in the Cradle Academy. But since he was just some distant relative, nobody gave a damn about his education. So the guy begged and pleaded for a chance to study at Academy Valhalla, but ended up in a night order of some tiny-ass nation called Baron instead. When Baron got wiped off the map, Liam became a mercenary. And in those chaotic times, strength attracted followers like crazy. With years of battlefield experience under his belt, he rose to fame as a Red Knight and eventually founded the Stone Mercenaries. The man united the 3 biggest mercenary factions and earned his title as the Mercenary King fair and square. Later, when the Empire hired his crew, Liam entered the Continental Wars, where he became one of the Northerners' worst nightmares. But this time around, Zeke's determined to change that story completely. The second the instructor gives the signal, Jeekin charges forward, throwing this massive punch that literally disturbs the air around it. But Zeke doesn't even blink. He catches that with one hand like it's nothing. Shane yanks his hand back and tries a kick instead. But oh man, this backfires spectacularly. The moment his leg connects, pain shoots through him. He hits Zeke's reinforced barrier around his elbow and basically damaged himself. Before he can even process what just happened, Zeke's already charging in, his fist glowing with an activated skill, ready to end this man's whole career. Shane panics and throws his arms over his face to block. But here's the thing. Zeke was never aiming for his face. Our boy goes straight for that already injured leg and delivers a brutal blow. And before Jane can even scream, Zeke follows up with a crushing punch to the ribs that makes him cough up blood. The once cocky fighter is now face-planting the ground, screaming at his sidekick to finish Zeke off immediately. Now it's Liam's turn, and you can feel the shift in the air. This man's radiating straight-up killing intent as he steps forward. The worst part, his reach is insane. If Zeke lets him throw the first punch, this fight could go sideways real quick. So knowing this, Zeke takes the initiative and launches into a rapid assault. He activates a skill called Slash and moves so fast he's literally a blur, unleashing this relentless storm of punches. The speed completely messes with Liam's vision, forcing him onto the defensive. The spectators watching from the sidelines, absolutely losing their minds. True despair is washing over them as they witness just how much of an absolute unit Zeke is. They're confused and curious because in a world where swords are king, a dude who fights with just his fists is practically unheard of. Zeke's technique is undeniably impressive, but it's also taking a serious toll on his body. But that's not even the biggest problem. The real challenge is Liam's monstrous physique. This man's just standing there with his guard up, tanking every single hit. If he's this resilient now, imagine how terrifying he must have been when he ruled as the mercenary king. Realizing his attacks aren't making enough of a dent, Zeke decides to go Allen. He channels everything into one final devastating strike. One that'll break through Liam's defense no matter what. But just as he launches it, Liam dodges it with ease. He just redirects the strike like swatting a fly. The sheer audacity pisses Zeke off. Before he can react, Liam seizes the opening and hoists him high into the air, about to slam him into the ground. But Zeke refuses to go down without a fight. Thinking fast, he delivers a sharp strike to Liam's head, and his class skill, heightened sense, activates, letting him capitalize on the moment. In an instant, he locks his legs around Liam's neck in a chokehold, cutting off his air supply. Because no matter how absurdly strong you are, you can't fight if oxygen isn't reaching your brain. But Zeke underestimated his opponent, because instead of going down, Liam decided to reshape our boy's face with countless punches. But Zeke's plan worked eventually. Liam's strength started to fade. His movements got sluggish, and at last he collapsed, and the crowd can't believe what just happened. Everyone is terrified of our boy. Well, except this crackhead who for some reason is now more pumped to fight our boy. So, a few hours later, our boy's chilling in his room when his butler walks in already having heard the tea about the match. This old man immediately goes into worried parent mode, asking if Zeke's okay. But Zeke just brushes him off like, "Bro, I'm fine. Relax." But the butler's not having it. He straight up ignores Zeke and insists on checking his pulse anyway. Now Zeke's no idiot. He knows exactly what this sneaky bastard is really up to. This isn't just a wellness check. Homeboy is trying to see if Zeke's awakened his aura yet. So Zeke extends his hand, and the servant channels this stream of blue energy in him. The second Zeke sees it, he does a full double take. Hold up, is this random butler a blue knight? Because imbuing someone else with aura is already hard as hell. But controlling it with this much precision, that's next level stuff. If this old man really is a blue knight, that raises one massive question. What the hell is someone of his caliber doing playing house servant? Quick breakdown of the knight hierarchy. So you're not confused, white swordsmen are the bottom tier, basically kids before they get their blessing ritual. Yellow swordsmen are newbies who just awaken their aura. Then you got purple knights who can reinforce their swords with aura. Blue knights who can manifest actual aura blades. Red knights who've transcended their limits. This is what both Liam and Zeke hit before the regression. And finally, black knights who are basically mythical legends. There's only a handful of them in the entire continent. So yeah, having a blue knight as your personal babysitter is absolutely wild. After finishing his little examination, the old man goes all serious and asks, "Is there something you're hiding?" Zeke doesn't even flinch. My boy keeps his poker face on and flips the question right back at him. "Do you know something I don't?" Before things get too intense, Zeke laughs it off and says he was joking, but the butler can't help himself and asks, "Why have you changed so much?" That question makes Zeke stop in his tracks. He turns around with those sharp-ass eyes and hits him with, "You're asking the wrong question. Instead of asking why I've changed now, ask why it took me so damn long to change in the first place." Then our boy tells him, this is just the beginning. There are way more surprises coming, so instead of losing his mind every 5 seconds, just shut up and follow orders. The servant bows and reports that the training room Zeke requested is ready. On his way to the training hall, Zeke's brain is working overtime trying to figure out who ordered his butler to spy on him. But whatever, he's going to use this situation to his advantage. Keep the old man close. Manipulate him and squeeze out whatever info he needs. It's probably not anyone from his mom's side since they wouldn't dare, which means it's got to be one of his siblings pulling strings. When he walks into the training room, Zeke's actually stunned for a second because this place is ridiculously fancy. Before getting started, he decides to check the system with one command. The panel pops up in front of him. Right off the bat, he notices his /skill hit proficiency level. Must have leveled up from spamming it during the fight. That his eyes land on the draconian skill, but it's locked, and locking it needs 10 karma points, and he's sitting at a big fat 0. A system message pops up saying he can earn karma points by killing monsters in dungeons. Well, he can't do that unless he's a purple knight, so that's out of the question for now. Plus, the thing he's most curious about is his regression. And what the hell is this system? Without more info, there's no point in overthinking it. He grips his sword tight. Whether it's through this system or his Draco bloodline, he's going to use everything to get stronger. It's time for some more info. There are two main power systems: aura for knights and mana for mages. Knights refine aura in dungeons. Mages build up mana through circles. And as you would expect, if you awaken one path, you permanently lose the other forever. Unlike everyone else in his household, Zeke awakened neither a dantian nor a circle, which basically marked him as a total failure and got him abandoned. After getting tossed aside, he wandered around until he met his master, who taught him the Ether Hall technique, a way to harness nature's energy called ether. To this day, only he and his master can use it, which makes him pretty unique. After 2 hours of nonstop training, Zeke's about to collapse when his class skills Healing and Vigor Recovery suddenly activate. Now healing is crazy rare, and if anyone saw him using it, they'd immediately label him as some kind of freak. That's exactly why he didn't use it against Liam. He only healed himself once. He was safely back in his room. With his body fully restored, he goes right back to grinding. By the time dawn rolls around, the entire training hall looks like a war zone. A week flies by, and inside the Cradle cafeteria, students are gossiping about how Zeke's like a completely different person, since he was born a loser in their eyes. Their only explanation is black magic or demon possession or some wild like that. Meanwhile, in a private lounge, the Academy's elite are having dinner together. First up is Raina Tun eating in silence. Next to her sits Owen Zimmons, looking all calm and proper. And across from him is Jeekin, still beat up but loud as ever. Owen tells Jin to eat properly since he's got a swordsmanship duel coming up. But Jeekin slams his fist on the table so hard his steak literally flies off and hits the ground. The impact also makes Raina's steak jump off her plate, which instantly pisses her off. Her death glare alone makes Jack and freeze up. All four of these students have one thing in common. They absolutely hate Zeke's guts. But even with their shared hatred, it's obvious they don't actually like each other either. The only thing keeping this toxic friend group together is their mutual grudge against him. Owen admits Zeke was impressive during Pancreas, but he's convinced that in swordsmanship, Zeke's going to be absolute trash. After all, the dude doesn't even know how to hold a sword properly. One of them brings up how pathetic he must be. The man needed a customized sword because standard ones were too heavy for his weak ass. Jeekin still can't wrap his head around losing to that inferior piece of trash. He refuses to believe Zeke won through actual skill. It had to be dumb luck. But Raina doesn't buy into their delusions. She looks at them with those cold eyes and says, "If you idiots actually believe that nonsense, then none of you deserve to be knights of the Draker household." Now, if you're sitting there wondering why these clowns were so confident Zeke would get destroyed in swordsmanship, let me give you some context. Unlike Pancration, where things are somewhat controlled, sword duels are fought with real weapons, which is exactly why they're the #1 cause of injuries at this academy. This is where the skill gap becomes painfully obvious and weak fighters get exposed real quick. A month after these finals, the blessing ritual will go down. That's when Jokers awaken their aura. Until then, these duels are the ultimate proving ground. The day finally arrives, and the instructor calls Zeke forward. Our boy steps into the arena without hesitation, casually resting this massive sword over his shoulder. This blade is so ridiculously big that the crowd immediately bursts out laughing, thinking this has to be some kind of joke. To them, it's obvious what's happening. Zeke's one of those idiots who thinks bigger equals better, that the sheer size will somehow give him an advantage. From the other side, Ray steps up, fully pumped and ready to go. With this dramatic-ass motion, she throws down the gauntlet, officially challenging Zeke. He accepts without even thinking twice. But something about him throws her off, watching him effortlessly lift that massive claymore. She realizes this isn't the same pathetic Zeke she remembers. The old Zeke could barely hold a sword without embarrassing himself. But now his whole presence is different, sharper, more intense. For just a split second, she actually feels intimidated, which immediately pisses her off. She's disgusted with herself for even having that thought. But she already issued the challenge and is backing down. Now that's not happening. Meanwhile, Zeke's also feeling the pressure because his usual bag of tricks won't cut it here. This isn't just some random duel. This is a fight against the future Lightning Knight, and that's genuinely scary. In her past life, Raina Terran became an absolute legend during the Continental Wars, earning her spot as one of the strongest warriors of her generation. Unlike most people, she awakened her aura years before the blessing ritual, a feat that put her in a completely different league. Even though she has this rare gift, she never used her aura inside Cradle, choosing instead to master the fundamentals like a true warrior. But that doesn't make her any less dangerous. The duel kicks off, and their swords crash together in a shower of sparks, neither one backing down. After that first clash, Raina quickly steps back before charging in again. With one powerful strike, she forces Zeke to slide backward. That one exchange tells him everything he needs to know. She's even better than he expected. Without wasting a second, Reina lunges again, her blade moving at insane speed. Each swing crackling through the air like lightning. In the background, her so-called allies are getting impatient, yelling, "Just finish this loser already." But one guy who's actually paying attention shuts them down real quick. "You idiots need to open your eyes." She's not the one pushing him back. He's pushing her. From Reina's perspective, she can clearly see openings in Zeke's defense. Weak spots she should be exploiting. But every single time she moves to strike those gaps, her attack gets blocked, and that's what's pissing her off the most. It's like this isn't even a real duel to him. It's a damn training session. Every time she lands a hit, he creates another opening, basically inviting her to attack again, challenging her to actually break through his defense. After several intense exchanges, she steps back, breathing heavily and exhausted. But Zeke, man's not even remotely tired. In fact, he looks straight up bored. She's fighting with everything she's got, holding back her aura to rely purely on skill, which is exactly what he expected from someone obsessed with mastering the basics. But now he decides it's time to help her break out of her comfort zone. Zeke dramatically lowers his stance, making it look like he's about to explosively close the distance. Rei, confident in her speed, doesn't think much of it. She's sure that maintaining distance will let her react in time to whatever he's planning. But in literally the blink of an eye, Zeke closes the gap completely. And suddenly, he's right up at her face. Before her brain can even process what just happened, he swings that massive sword with enough force to crack the ground beneath them, sending shock waves rippling through the entire arena. Still, Reina holds onto her strategy as long as there's space between them. She can counter his attacks. Then, Zeke swings his sword through completely empty air. At first, it looks like a total whiff, a complete miss. But that wasn't the point. The sheer force of the swing sends debris flying straight into her face, smacking her right in the nose and leaving it bruised and bloody. The second she flinches from the impact, Zeke charges in with his sword aimed directly at her and stops just centimeters from her neck. In that moment, she's absolutely certain this is it. She's done. Game over. But then something completely unexpected happens. Zeke's sword suddenly flies out of his hands, landing several feet away. The crowd absolutely loses their minds, declaring him the loser and celebrating Reina's victory without her even needing to use her aura. But one person isn't buying any of this. The instructor clearly saw what happened. He caught her using aura. Even though it was super faint, she definitely used it. But these clueless idiots in the crowd didn't notice a damn thing. Here's what went down. As Zeke's blade got way too close for comfort, Reina instinctively let out this tiny burst of aura, barely there, but enough. Now, why does this matter? Because Rei literally swore on her honor that she wouldn't touch her aura until she officially got into the academy, and Zeke just forced her to break that promise. She just stands there for a second, completely frozen with doubt and regret all over her face. Then, out of nowhere, Zeke rushes at her again. Before she can even think about what's happening, his fist connects straight to her throat. She starts choking immediately, dropping to her knees as blood starts dripping from her mouth. The crowd lost their absolute minds and started cursing. Our boy, yo, this was a sword duel. That's straight up a cheap shot. This dude's got no shame. Everyone flips on Zeke instantly, pointing fingers and talking mad, but my boy doesn't even bat an eye. He's completely unbothered by all the hate and just calmly looks down at Reina and goes, "So, are you trying to keep going or what?" Rei is still struggling to even stand up properly, but she's stubborn as hell and insists she didn't lose, saying the only reason he got that hit in was because she wasn't paying attention. But then reality smacks her in the face. If Zeke had a knife in his hand instead of his bare fist, she'd be straight up dead right now. 6 feet under. That thought alone makes everything click with some actual respect for once. She admits defeat. The same crowd that was clowning Zeke and calling him human garbage literally seconds ago. Now, they're all standing there in complete shock, mouths hanging open. Zeke Draker, the guy they've been calling the family disgrace and absolute trash, just won clean as hell. And he didn't beat some random nobody either. He just bodied Reina to run. The future Lightning Knight and one of the most talented fighters in their generation. So, we cut to Abel's castle, and everything's a mess. The town's on fire. People are bleeding out everywhere. And this psychopath is just casually sipping tea. But Abel's not even paying attention to the chaos. He's too busy reading a letter about how Zeke Draker just bodied Reina. He puts down his cup and asks about when the blessing ceremony is happening. Turns out the full moon's still a few weeks away. So Abel decides, you know what? Perfect time to crash the Draker family party. William standing there like, "Bro, you're going alone." But Abel doesn't give a damn. This renowned swordmaster is hyped to see the youngest Dreer's awakening with his own eyes. Meanwhile, everyone else is losing their mind, celebrating Zeke's win. Our boy's already back to the grind. He doesn't care about parties or praise. He just goes straight back to training. Days pass, weeks fly by, and boom, a whole month later, it's finally time for the blessing ceremony. But Zeke's still sitting there wondering, how the hell did I become a red knight in my past life with that trash body? After finishing his workout, he pulls up his status window. And sure enough, his mastery skill hits the expert level. But here's where it gets interesting. Every time a skill ranks up, the mastery resets, which means he can keep refining them over and over. Even his swift step skill, the same move he used to demolish Rhina, leveled up. He notices his butler, Decker, watching him like a hawk. Decker walks over and tells him it's time to get ready. They're leaving for the blessing ceremony in 2 hours. It's been forever since Zeke visited the Regressor family's main estate in the Duchy of Troy. The family's main crib is at the center of the continent, but the blessing ceremony happens at the legendary Dragon Slayer battleground. When he arrives and steps out of the carriage, he walks into the dragon's nest lair and immediately realizes this isn't some casual family gathering. The room's packed with vibes. We're talking serious, heavy hitters here. Some of them are definitely spies sent just to observe him, but our boys already know how everything's going to go. But then his confidence evaporates the second he locks eyes with one particular man. Someone who makes his blood boil just by existing. It's Abel shaking hands with some random guest looking bored as hell. Abel doesn't care about the ceremony itself, except for one thing, his youngest brother. See, the Regressor family's second son is known as the Lion Blade. But Zeke knows him by a way more accurate name, the Butchering Knight. Standing face-to-face with his older brother, Zeke forces himself to stay calm, because right now, there's jack he can do about it. Here's the thing, though. In his previous life, Abel never showed up to Zeke's awakening ceremony, which means his actions at the pancreas competition changed the timeline. He clenches his fists, frustrated, but then realizes something important. This change might actually be an opportunity. Soon enough, the ceremony kicks off. Aaron's called up first to do the ritual. He walks up without hesitation and sticks his arm into this mystical pool. Immediately, blue energy starts surging through his body. Some elder starts explaining how every Dreer descendant has their aura sealed until they graduate from the cradle at age 12. And this awakening process is what makes them special. Compared to regular knights, who can only awaken in their 20s, the Regressor bloodline gets this power way earlier. But even among the Dreer elite, only a few awaken a special trait called mana inhibition. The Dragon Slayer's signature ability, the mana lamps around the pool, start flickering like crazy, shooting out red sparks everywhere. That's the sign Aaron just got a pure blood awakening. Knights with mana inhibition can go toe-to-toe with even red and black knights. But there's a catch. Their bodies become so resistant to mana that everyday life becomes a nightmare. They need special gloves made by the Regressor family just to function normally. Case in point, Ree, who already went through her awakening, is wearing gloves 24/7 now. Once someone proves they're pure blood, they officially become part of the Regressor family and get unlimited resources, authority, and top-tier training. The crowd starts buzzing because it's finally time for the main event, Zeke Draker's awakening. Whispers are flying everywhere. People genuinely believe his awakening is going to surpass even Reyna. As Zeke steps forward, he gets hit with major deja vu. He stood in this exact spot before. In his past life, this day brought him nothing but shame and humiliation. The blessing ceremony was the only thing that let him stay in the cradle. But the experience left him destroyed. But now everything's different. He's not weak anymore. He learned to heal, control ether, and actually fight. He built resilience, strength, and the willpower to forge his own path. So, as he stands before the bronze statue, he's filled with anticipation, expecting it to grant him something incredible this time. Zeke dips his arm into the pool, and the bronze statue immediately starts shaking violently before suddenly stopping. The entire room goes dead silent. This has never happened before. Not once in the entire history of the blessing ceremony. Even Abel looks speechless for a second. Zeke pulls his arm back, and he already knows what happened. Nothing changed. Despite everything, all his effort, all his growth, the results are the same. He let Abel's presence mess with his head and convinced himself this time would be different. But deep down, he knew the truth all along. The crowd erupts into whispers, their initial hype turning into straight-up mockery. The most anticipated candidate just failed to awaken. Sneeze spread through the room, a direct descendant of the Regressor bloodline, showing no signs of awakening. It doesn't make sense. The whispers get harsher. Some people even start questioning his victory over Reyna, convinced he must have used tricks or cheated somehow. But Zeke, he couldn't give less of a damn. Instead of wasting time worrying about their judgment, he turns his focus inward. determined to find another way to get stronger. Then out of nowhere, the system glitches out and interrupts his thoughts like, yo, my bad. We actually forgot some pretty important info about your class identification. Zeke's just standing there like, what? But before he can even wrap his head around what's happening, the system keeps going. All right, input's complete now. Terminal identification successful. User talent confirmed. Healer. And just like that, power starts flooding through his body. His class finally unlocks for real this time. But then another message pops up out of nowhere. Rare class unlocked. The second that appears, the bronze statue just explodes with light. Not just any light, either. Red light. And if you know anything about this world, red light means one thing. Pure blood awakening. The entire chamber lose their damn minds. Everyone's gasping, freaking out, and asking each other how the hell this is even possible. Like this dude just skipped straight to Red Knight status. That's not supposed to happen. The system digs deeper, connecting with something buried deep in Zeke's soul. Turns out, it's the ancient dragon's blessing that's been hiding in there this whole time. Meanwhile, Abel's watching all of this go down, and his face is completely blank. But wait, there's more, because apparently the system wasn't finished clowning yet. Zeke's existing talents start glowing and merging together, transforming into something completely different. His screen updates one final time, and when he sees the new title, even he's confused. It reads, Unique Class Unlocked, the Immortal. So, while our boy's trying to wrap his head around what the hell this new class even is, the whole room's absolutely losing it. People are straight up having mental breakdowns like, wait, wasn't Zeke supposed to be complete garbage? How the hell did this dude pull off a red awakening? Some desperate bastard are trying to convince themselves the statue's busted. But then someone's like, okay, but how do you explain the mana lamps going crazy? They're scrambling for any excuse to call it fake, but even they know they're full of shit. That's when Abel decides it's his time to shine. He starts this slow mocking clap that just cuts through all the chaos with the most condescending tone imaginable. He's like, why isn't anyone congratulating our newly awakened pure blood? Everyone knows they're stuck. So one by one, the whispers die down and get replaced by this awkward forced applause. Abel demands someone grab gloves for his little brother. Zeke takes them, but he's internally rolling his eyes because he knows damn well he doesn't need this. Without saying a word, he just turns around and walks off. Abel's looking all smug and satisfied, but Zeke man's absolutely fuming. Out of everyone who could have stepped in, it had to be that bastard Abel. The ceremony shifts into some celebration party, but Zeke wants absolutely nothing to do with it. Just as he's about to dip, someone calls his name. He stops dead in his tracks. Abel casually asks where he's heading, then extends his hand to congratulate him. Look, Zeke hates Abel with every fiber of his being, but rejecting the handshake in front of this whole crowd would start unnecessary beef. So he forces this fake-ass polite smile and reaches out, then freezes. A flash of blood slams into his mind. A memory from his past life. His body reacts before his brain can process it, and he yanks his hand back. This slow, creepy smirk spreads across Abel's face. Well, this is awkward. Looks like my dear little brother just embarrassed me in front of everyone. Zeke's jaw clenches. There's no way in hell he's shaking hands with this monster. Not after everything that went down, but Abel barely gives with a little wave. He turns away. No waities. I'm sure we'll see each other real soon. Zeke agrees with that. One day, he'll face Abel, but it'll be on his own damn terms. Not like this. At the party, all the nobles and warriors are buzzing like crazy. 2 pure blood awakenings in one ceremony. That's literally never happened before. But Zeke's awakening has everyone confused as hell. Nobody's ever seen a golden light pop up. Yet, despite being the main character of the night, Zeke's nowhere to be found. Our boy said, screw this, and dipped, choosing peace and quiet over fake-ass small talk with these clowns. He's chilling in some quiet room, finally able to breathe. But something's off. He's not feeling any mana inhibition at all. And if you were wondering why that's a big deal, well, because pure blood awakenings are supposed to completely reject mana, right? That's literally the whole thing. Every pure blood awakener needs those special gloves since their bodies can't interact with mana-based tools anymore. Yet, here's Zeke completely fine. He takes off his gloves and flexes his fingers. Nothing. Zero resistance. His status window pops up, and he spots the difference immediately. His trait isn't mana inhibition, it's mana reflection. He taps it for the details, and a system window pops up with info. Generates a distortion field that nullifies nearby mana. Unlike mana inhibition, this skill isn't passive and doesn't mess with standard mana readings. Well, that explains everything. The mana lamps didn't react to him because he's not rejecting mana. He's literally distorting it. Then there's his class. Before the ceremony, the system had him labeled as some rare class healer. But now, class the Immortal, What the hell does that even mean? None of this adds up. At the graduation ceremony, every single Draker Awakener came out with a blue ore standard. Boring results. The only exception was Reyna, who awakened as a Red Knight. And now, there's him with this golden light. A class called the Immortal and a trait that's not supposed to exist in the first place. Zeke starts putting the pieces together. The system flagged missing information about classification during his awakening. What if the system treated the bronze statue as the classification terminal? The second that missing data got injected, the statue went absolutely crazy, glowing red and everything. It's all starting to click now. The statue wasn't there to check if someone awakened. It was judging their class the whole time. Red glow means rare class. Gold means unique. The statue is some ancient relic that existed way before Tran, the founder of the whole Draker family. These days, class identification isn't even a thing anymore, which is what led to this massive everyone assumed red light meant pure blood awakening. But nah, it actually meant rare class. Even the current head of the clan has no clue about this. Zeke notices something else. He got 100 karma points during the ceremony. He doesn't waste a second and buys the draconian skill. Knowledge just floods into his brain. He gets several beginner abilities: Dragon Eyes, Might of the Dragon, and Devour. The first two make sense, but Devour only helps with digestion, which sounds useless as hell. Might of the Dragon needs aura to work, making it way too risky right now. So, he tests Dragon Eyes first. At first glance, nothing seems different until he looks outside. Staring at the statue in the garden, he realizes the skill cranks up his vision like crazy. But that's not even the best part. He can pull up detailed information about anything he looks at. Data just rushes through his head, showing him intricate details about the statue's composition and everything. But the sheer amount of information completely fries his brain, leaving him drained. If every use comes with this kind of drawback, he's going to have to be real careful with it. Thankfully, his body's natural healing kicks in on autopilot. He didn't even try to activate it. It just happened. Checking the system again, he finds another surprise. All his class skills converted into passive abilities and already leveled up on their own. His healing factor evolved too. It now repairs his body automatically without him having to do anything. While it seems overpowered as hell, it's not unlimited, otherwise he wouldn't have died in his past life. To test it out, he grabs a blade and lightly cuts his arm. Within seconds, the wound just vanishes without leaving a single trace. Then, a smile appears on his face. He knows how broken this ability is. Well, just to put it into perspective, it's so broken that now our boy thinks that he can graduate from the academy in 2 years, which usually takes 5. And for good reasons. The Dreer Academy is basically the Harvard of night schools. Everyone and their mom wants to get in. Every semester, Troy City gets flooded with fresh meat, hoping to make it big. Our boy Zeke's walking through campus, sizing everyone up. And yeah, the upperclassmen are walking around like they own the place, acting all mature and capable. But compared to the absolute monsters from the cradle, these kids are just trust fund babies playing dress up with swords. Zeke's looking at all this thinking, man, my family is seriously up. Now, let me break down the power structure real quick. There are 3 main branch families backing the Draker lineage, and they're kind of a big deal. First up, you got the Turner-Run family. These guys are all about that raw strength, and that's Reyna Squad. Then there's the Zimmons family, the big brain nerds who run on wisdom and strategy. And finally, the Vark, the Lannisters of this fantasy world. All their heirs are at the academy, but Zeke couldn't care less about any of them. Cut to this fancy-ass dorm called Platinum Mansion. We're talking top-tier training halls, libraries, and facilities. But those fancy things are for the peasants. The pure blood awakeners like Zeke get the VIP treatment, with the title of floor master, which basically means they run the whole platinum floor. When Zeke rolls up, some maid greets him and takes him to his area where there's already a crowd waiting. Man's already exhausted just looking at them. Despite being this prestigious pure blood awakener, he immediately gets told that Decker, his butler, needs to see him in another room. So he's like, oh, what does this guy want now? Decker shows him some premium gloves, the same ones he got when he first awakened. Zeke's already got a new pair, though, so he's not impressed. What he really wants is a sword. Decker's totally on board with this because Troy's right next to some mountain ranges that are basically treasure troves of high-quality iron, and the craftsmen there, absolute legends. These guys are basically the backbone of the Academy's night program. Decker offers to hook him up with a skilled craftsman, but Zeke's like, nah, I got this. He wants to handle it personally and asks Decker to just set up an appointment. When he drops the name Galleon Halberd, even Decker's like, who the hell is that? This craftsman is so mysterious that literally nobody's heard of him. But Zeke's determined to meet him anyway. Before leaving, Decker reminds him to actually read the Academy documents before class tomorrow, because, that might be important. Later that night, Zeke's grinding through his notes when he has this light bulb moment. The entire platinum floor is his like all of it. which means he's got the perfect space to train his draconian skills without anyone bothering him. Just then, a maid enters telling him that Reina wants him to come to dinner. Zeke's caught off guard, but figures why not? Free food and all that. When he gets to her floor, though, he walks into what looks like a scene straight out of The Godfather. Rain is there smirking, apologizing for the dramatic setup, but Zeke's just vibing with it. They agree to eat first and talk business later. While they're eating, Zeke's not just chowing down, he's analyzing her. Even during a casual dinner, this girl's channeling aura into her lower abdomen. Our boy immediately connects the dots. She's gunning for purple knight status. And if that's the case, it makes total sense why her swordsmanship is already maxed out. In his head, he's thinking she could be doing way more with that kind of potential. By the time they finish, Zeke's low-key impressed and maybe a little intimidated by how much more Reina ate than him. But now that the food coma is setting in, she's ready to drop the real reason she invited him. Reina straight up offers him the full backing of the Terran family. Zeke's like, hold up. We're both pure blood awakeners, though. But she shuts that down real quick, telling him he's got it twisted. Sure, being a pure blood awakener comes with perks. The platinum floor, the prestige, all that good stuff. But while regular students get access to centuries of knowledge, personal instructors, and all these structured training programs, purebloods are basically left to figure out on their own. Without proper support, even the most talented awakeners can end up falling behind. To prove her point, she brings up Ebel Draker, a pureblood from their family who became a white knight at the youngest age ever recorded. Now he's one of the strongest black knights around, and even he needed the Zimmons family backing him up. And she drops the bomb. The Torin family patriarch gave her direct orders to extend their full support to Zeke. She's sitting there expecting him to see reason and accept this incredible opportunity. But our boy Zeke, he just calmly says, nah, I'm good. Reina's absolutely shook. She cannot comprehend how anyone would turn down this kind of deal. Zeke gets up and makes it crystal clear he's not interested in alliances or politics or any of that drama. As far as he's concerned, being a pure blood awakener is one thing, but all this family politics BS, not his problem. And with that, he just walks out, leaving Ray sitting there like, did this dude really just reject me? But because Zeke's not a complete, he decides to throw her a bone for the free meal. He tells her that her sword's too powerful, probably because of all those people backing her. But that's not where her real strength is. Her actual talent, adaptability. Instead of just smashing through opponents with brute force, she should focus on using her fluid movements to redirect attacks, and then strike with one precise hit when the opening appears. If she masters that approach, she'll blast past her current limits easily. Then he dips, leaving Ray absolutely frustrated. Her whole life, she's been grinding under the weight of her family's legacy of raw strength, training her ass off to live up to the Terran name. But Zeke's actually right. Nobody's ever given her real advice before. Since she was a kid, everyone just called her a genius and left it at that. Praised, but never actually guided. And now this random dude just casually dropped some wisdom and walked away like it was nothing. This whole interaction got Reina rethinking her entire opinion of Zeke Draker. Meanwhile, our boy is having his own main character moment. His growth has been absolutely cracked. He trained all night and isn't even slightly tired. With infinite stamina, man's literally built different now. Way beyond anything he could have dreamed of in his past life. Back then, this academy was straight up hell for him. But now he's actually vibing with it, enjoying some rare peace and quiet. Of course, that peace gets shattered real quick. Owen Zimmons, the third son of the Zimmons family, suddenly rolls up on him. And let me tell you about this snake. In Zeke's previous life, Owen was a master manipulator, the kind of scumbag who blackmailed and bullied him nonstop. Just like before, he'd send Zeke a dinner invitation. And just like before, Zeke left him on red. The weird part, this time, Owen's acting way too friendly, like suspiciously friendly. Zeke immediately knows what invitation he's talking about and hits him with a sharp comeback. Owen's all, why didn't you reply to my message? And Zeke coolly shoots back that he doesn't give a damn about pointless messages. This blunt response catches the attention of Owen's little sidekick, who thinks Zeke's being unnecessarily rude. But Zeke's not here to play nice. It's the guy with the classic, who the hell are you? And doesn't even bother remembering his name. As far as Zeke's concerned, this dude's just another bootlicker trying to score points with Owen. Apparently, that was enough to make homeboy snap. Without warning, he launches an attack at Zeke, but our boy's ready. He blocks the strike instantly, even though it's got a manipulation behind it. This clown roars out his name, Durbin, Roswell, declaring himself the mightiest of them all. Zeke can't help but laugh at how absurd this is. This guy isn't even a knight, barely even a cadet, and he's out here acting tough, not wasting another second. Zeke blitzes forward with insane speed and delivers a hook to Durbin's gut that would make Mike Tyson proud. The impact sends this fool face planting into the ground. Without missing a beat, Zeke casually invites the next Simmons lackey to step up and get humbled. Owen just walks forward acting all unimpressed, saying he's not wowed by Zeke flexing his strength. The group eventually leaves, but to Zeke, they're nothing more than a traveling circus act. Now, let me break down how Regressor Academy actually works. The school's split into two classes. First, you got the normal class. This is for cadets who lack natural talent, but are willing to grind through sheer effort and discipline. It's tough, but straightforward. Then there's the special class, where the more capable students get to pick their own specialized subjects beyond the basics. This is where all the academy's elites gather, the supposed cream of the crop. Zeke had high expectations for who'd end up here. But as he scans the room, massive disappointment. None of them are particularly impressive. In fact, most of them are just alumni from the Cradle people he already knows. He can't help but joke to himself that this isn't a special class. It's just Cradle Class 2.0. Zero class finally starts, and the instructor's got a big announcement. Today they have a special guest, a man who once held the title of Commander-in-Chief of the Empire, a war strategist who 2 decades ago supposedly blocked an Imperial invasion through pure tactical brilliance. The man who runs this entire academy is Dean Howard Regressor. The room welcomes him with mad enthusiasm. He's a war hero, a symbol of hope, and a tactical mastermind whose name gets praised throughout the Empire. But Zeke knows the real truth. Howard Regressor is no hero. He's a fraud. The only reason he saved the Empire was because he leaked critical info to the enemy just to save his own ass. Pure damblak. Let him escape unscathed, and now he's basking in undeserved glory. Zeke absolutely despises this man. Howard's the reason Zeke got expelled from the academy in his past life. After that, with nowhere to go, he wandered the streets of Troy, completely lost until slave traders grabbed him and sold him to the Southern Cartel. This man's entire existence is a reminder of the worst chapter in Zeke's life, and someday he's going to make him pay for it. For now, though, Howard wraps up his speech, and the teacher steps in to actually begin the lesson. The cadets get summoned to the arena for an indoor training session, and Zeke's less than thrilled. He's expected to sit through the basics of dragon slaying, something that frustrated the hell out of him in his past life. Back then, he couldn't wield aura and wasted 2 years on what should have taken 3 months max. Their instructor introduces himself as the Rose Knight, DRA. The students aren't impressed since they don't recognize his name, but Zeke does. Andre wasn't born into an Awakener bloodline, yet he graduated as Valhalla Academy's valedictorian. His raw talent earned him the prestigious DRA name despite having 0 family ties. In short, this guy's the definition of someone you should worry about. Zeke also remembers that while the special class instructors vary in skill, Andre is infamous for having a terrible attitude. Andre gets straight to business, telling the cadets to draw their swords. His gaze immediately locks on Zeke's weapon. It's massive compared to everyone else's. Yet, Zeke's wielding it like it weighs nothing. Andre, unimpressed, calls him into the arena, assuming the oversized sword is just arrogance on display. That's exactly what Zeke wanted. He boldly claims he could defeat the instructor with it. An open provocation that visibly pisses Andre off. The tension gets so thick, it actually triggers Zeke's system, activating a mental defense skill. Amused by the challenge, Andre decides to give our boy a practical lesson. He even sets conditions. If Zeke wins, he gets complete freedom in class. To make things fair, Andre promises he'll hold back and won't use aura. And if this rude bastard so much as manages to touch him with his sword, Andre will consider it Zeke's victory. Pull that off, and he'll be exempted from all punishments. Plus, he don't have to come to the basic class, too. Now look, everyone's expecting our boy to get absolutely bodied by this genius instructor, Andre, right? But Zeke knows this dude's weaknesses and is actually confident he can exploit them. The problem, his creepy, watchful brother is somewhere in the shadows, and Zeke doesn't want to go full main character mode just yet. So what's the plan? Simple. Land one clean cut on Andre's uniform to flex on him, then take the L like a good little cadet and keep his cover intact. The fight starts, and Zeke immediately goes for the throat. But Andre casually deflects it like he's swatting a fly, showing off those fancy Blue Knight skills. But it did nothing, so he switches it up, starts zipping around, attacking from every angle imaginable. But no matter what he does, Andre is blocking everything with annoyingly perfect precision. The other cadets are just standing there with their mouths open, watching Zeke go at it for a full 30 minutes without stopping. But here's where it gets interesting. Andre is starting to struggle. His grip's getting tighter, his blades shaking, and you can see the exhaustion setting in. He's genuinely confused about how Zeke's still moving around, not even breathing hard, even though Andre is holding back his power. This fight's way harder than it should be. And that's when it hits everyone watching. Pure-blooded Regressor Awakeners are just built different. Like, it's almost unfair how much stamina these freaks have compared to normal people. Meanwhile, Zeke's over here playing 4D chess, exploiting Andre's one fatal flaw, stamina. See, the Draker family's aura cultivation is always active, even when they're sleeping. For someone like Andre, who married into the family and isn't a natural born Draker, suppressing that aura feels wrong and actively weakens him. And our boy Zeke, he's milking this weakness for everything it's worth. Andre blocks another attack, but Zeke refuses to just lose normally. His pride screaming at him that he can't take this. So he completely changes strategies, stops trying to create openings, and instead goes for an all-or-nothing move that'll force Andre to stop holding back. Suddenly, Zeke backflips, then launches forward at absolutely insane speed. It's swift steps, some advanced movement technique that cadets shouldn't even know. Andre barely has time to process what's happening before Zeke's already in his blind spot. Then in one fluid motion, Zeke activates Critical Strike, dumping every ounce of power into this one attack. For the first time, Andre hesitates because what the actual cadet shouldn't be pulling off techniques like this. But in that split second before impact, survival instincts kick in and he channels just a tiny bit of aura into his feet, dodging at lightning speed. Then he immediately counters with Sky Slice, and oh boy, Zeke goes flying across the arena. His sword straight up cracks, and the impact so severe that even his busted healing factor kicks in. But despite regenerating, his body just says, nah, I'm done, and he face plants onto the arena floor. Andre sheaths his sword, looking pissed off, and officially announces that Zeke's exempt from the class. Then he asks if anyone else wants to challenge him, and after watching Zeke get launched into orbit, yeah, nobody's that stupid. The lesson continues for everyone else while Zeke gets carried off to the infirmary like a sack of potatoes. Lying in the infirmary bed, Zeke's thinking about the fight. Sure, his original plan to slice Andre's uniform failed spectacularly, but forcing the instructor to actually use his aura, that's an even bigger W. He made Andre acknowledge his strength, which honestly wasn't even part of the plan. That final attack Sky Slice was literally the most basic technique in the dragon slaying arts, but when a Blue Knight amps it up with their power, absolutely devastating. Still, Zeke held his own. His unlimited stamina and broken healing factor kept him standing against someone way above his level. But he knows that's not going to cut it long term. If he wants true freedom, he needs absolute power. The kind where even people above him can't touch him. While he's having this whole internal monologue, some random drunkard stumbles into the room. And I mean stumbles. This man reeks of alcohol and seems weirdly interested in Zeke. What's even more concerning, Zeke never even sensed him coming. The last thing he expected to see in the infirmary was some drunk bastard. But things get even weirder when this dude casually starts shit-talking the Draker family patriarch. Zeke tries to figure out who this guy is, but the man's too busy chugging more booze like it's water. Then, out of nowhere, he questions Zeke about his rapid regeneration, clearly aware of his unnatural healing ability. Immediately, alarm bells are going off in Zeke's head. The Academy should know about this. His system activates mental defense on autopilot. Playing it cool, Zeke acts confused and pretends he has no idea what this weirdo is talking about, but the stranger isn't buying it. Without any warning, he lunges at Zeke with a palm strike, sharp enough to slice clean through the bed. Zeke quickly dodges, now thinking this guy might actually be an assassin sent to kill him. Thinking fast, he whips the bedsheet at this lunatic to blind him, hoping to get some breathing room. But the sense of danger only gets worse. So Zeke says screw it and goes Allen. He activates every skill he's got and launches an all-out attack. Yet despite being blinded by the sheet, this man effortlessly catches Zeke's blade mid-swing like it's nothing. But instead of finishing him off, he just smirks and praises Zeke's quick thinking and adaptability. Zeke stumbles back, confused and suspicious about what the man just said. Mercenary? What the hell does he mean by that? Who is this drunk bastard? So now our boy's getting paranoid as hell, thinking, wait, does this drunk bastard know I'm a reincarnator? Meanwhile, the stranger's just staring at him, watching the so-called Draker Knight literally yeet his sword away to save his own skin. The guy scoffs like, yeah, you make a way better mercenary than a knight, dumbass. And that's when Zeke realizes this dude sees right through him. And to make things worse, Zeke knows that there's no way he's winning against him. The power gap between them is just so massive. If this man wanted him dead, Zeke wouldn't even get to beg for his life. It'd be instant game over. This dude's at least on par with the Red Knight, maybe even stronger. Then the stranger glances at Zeke's massive claymore and just casually roasts him, saying he probably grabbed that heavy-ass thing from the Academy's discount weapon pile. With Zeke's actual talent level, wielding such a basic sword is straight up wasteful. The way this guy talks, so dismissive yet so spot on, makes Zeke realize something terrifying. This man is way stronger than he initially thought. Before Zeke can spiral further into his existential crisis, Andre walks in asking our boy why this bastard is here. Zeke's like, "Bro, do you know who this is?" Andre nods, saying that drunk bastard is the garden keeper, Dexter. Zeke's brain is literally blue screening right now. He's wondering how the hell the Academy even employs this guy. Meanwhile, Dexter just smirks and asks Andre how he even tracked him down. Andre shrugs, saying he spotted him lurking in the training room earlier. Then he turns to Zeke with zero chill and says, "If you're healed up, get the out." And Zeke had no intention of staying there. So he does as he was told and awkwardly starts backing away. But Dexter suddenly stops him, making Zeke an offer if he actually wants to learn something worthwhile, he should swing by the Academy's western greenhouse. There's this awkward silence, and then Zeke, being the arrogant bastard he is, just straight up says no and walks away. After leaving the room, Zeke starts connecting the dots because nothing about this situation makes sense. If this gardener can talk so casually about Arthur, the Draker family patriarch, then there's only one possible explanation. Dexter isn't just some mysterious side character. He's the legendary Duke Draker, the Gale Knight. The realization smacks Zeke in the face like a brick. This is the same absolute madman who once took on an entire kingdom solo, one of the rare knights who can wield martial force, a warrior so chaotic that he allegedly became a Black Knight just because he thought it looked cool. And despite his insane reputation, the guy just vanished and decided to cosplay as a gardener at some random academy. Zeke glances back at Andre, thinking maybe he ended up here because of Dexter too. But honestly, none of that matters to Zeke right now. He's not interested in some basic training montage with starter techniques. If he's going to learn from Dexter, it won't be for small fry moves. It has to be the man's ultimate technique. Cut to the Magic Academy, where Professor Fannin is awkwardly trying to lecture a room full of corpses, students. Any questions he asks, fully expecting that no one was paying attention. And yeah, the entire class is either passed out or mentally checked out. It's depressing as hell, but he soldiers on. Then, like a miracle from the heavens, a single hand goes up. It's Zeke asking about the mana energy transfer law Fannin just mentioned. Fannin's whole demeanor does a complete 180. The man's eyes light up. It's been ages since a student actually gave a damn about his class. He eagerly breaks down the concept in detail, making sure Zeke fully understands, probably holding back tears of joy the whole time. After class, the other students are bitching about how theoretical and boring the subject is, treating it like mandatory nap time. But Zeke, he found it ridiculously easy to grasp, and now realizes something. This guy Fannin is actually competent as hell. As Zeke's about to leave, Fannin stops him with genuine emotion. He thanks Zeke for actually being curious and engaged. It's been forever since he's taught a passionate student. He even offers to be available anytime Zeke has questions. Then he drops this bombshell. He's still an alumnist at DOA Magic University, literally the birthplace of modern magic that catches Zeke's attention. He hadn't expected this awkward professor to have such a stacked resume. Deciding there's no downside to having a skilled mage in his corner, Zeke accepts. In his mind, mages who are good at math tend to be smart as hell. Better to have a clever magic user as an ally than another stuck-up knight. He figures Fannin might come in handy later. The second Zeke steps outside, his thoughts get interrupted. Dexter's waiting there, and judging by his expression, his patience has completely evaporated. Finally done, Dexter asks, arms crossed, looking annoyed as hell. Before Zeke can even respond, Dexter cuts him off. "Why the hell didn't you show up at the greenhouse?" Clearly, he was expecting Zeke to take the hint when he offered to teach him earlier, but Zeke just shrugs and bluntly repeats himself. He's not interested. Dexter's irritation skyrockets. He starts acting like a whiny child, throwing a tantrum, but Zeke stands firm. He acknowledges that Dexter isn't just some random NPC, but he's too focused on his own training grind right now to deal with this. Dexter seems to accept this until he doesn't. Without warning, the man just vanishes from Zeke's sight. Before our boy can even process what just happened, he feels a sharp impact. Everything goes black. When Zeke finally wakes up, he's somewhere completely different. Blinking, he looks around the western greenhouse, and Dexter's just standing there looking relieved. Finally awake, Zeke crosses his arms deadpan. He realized this is literally kidnapping, right? Dexter, completely unfazed, just shrugs. "Yeah, I know." And he smirks, making it crystal clear he's openly interested in Zeke and isn't even trying to hide it anymore. Zero patience whatsoever. Zeke thinks, but he's not sticking around for this without hesitation. He activates swift steps and bolts for the exit, or at least tries to. In literally the blink of an eye, Dexter's in front of him, blocking his escape route. Annoyed, but not giving up, Zeke makes another run for it, only to fail again. Dexter effortlessly keeps up, shutting down every escape attempt like he's playing with a toddler. Not wanting to be treated like some helpless kid, Zeke switches tactics. With a smirk, he teases. What is it about me that's got you so obsessed, huh? Dexter doesn't even hesitate. That crazy healing ability of yours. Zeke grins. So that's what this is about. He decides to push it further. Well then, if you want answers, you'll have to beat them out of me. Dexter vanishes. Zeke tenses, eyes darting everywhere. Where did he? A sword comes whistling through the air, aimed straight at his back. He barely catches it in time. Gripping the weapon, he narrows his eyes. What the hell are you trying to prove? Dexter told him that he's doing what Zeke told him. He wants answers, and if he wants, he can easily beat it out of him. But that would be boring. He lays out the terms. If Zeke can land even one strike on his clothes, he wins. But if he doesn't, he'll have to tell him everything. The scene shifts, and at this point, our boy has been throwing hands with Dexter for hours now. And let me tell you, it's not going well. Every punch, every strike, every move, this man dodges it all. Like he's got cheat codes enabled. Zeke's got infinite stamina and regeneration, so he just keeps coming back like a Dark Souls boss. But my guy still can't land a single hit. Dexter's starting to notice something's off, though. This isn't just some kid with good cardio. Bro's injuries are healing in real time, and he refuses to stay down. But Zeke knows what's up. Stamina alone isn't winning this fight. He needs to pull out the big guns. And that's when he remembers Might of the Dragon. This insanely apt skill he's been too scared to use because it's risky as hell. But looking at Dexter, yeah, no more playing it safe. Our boy activates it, and immediately his whole vibe changes. Purple energy starts crackling around him. Swift Steps kicks in, and suddenly he's moving way faster and sharper than before. Dexter notices the upgrade and goes, not bad, but I fought faster, trying to stay cool. But then he sees Zeke's eyes, and it's not just determination anymore. There's something absolutely feral in there. Dexter's low-key impressed and decides to humor him by activating a bit of his own aura. Big mistake. The second he does, Zeke unleashes the full might of the dragon and actually catches him off guard. Dexter manages to break Zeke's sword and push him back, but he's genuinely confused because what the hell just happened? Using the dust cloud as cover, Dexter figures Zeke must have used some vision trick and assumes he's hidden now. Wrong. Zeke's got Dragon Eyes active, locks onto him through the smoke, and strikes from behind. Finally lands a hit, but then Dexter just vanishes, like completely disappears. Zeke's standing there like, wait, what? And then it clicks. This must be the Duke's secret move. Some teleportation ability that creates wind gusts. That's why they call in the Gale Knight. Before Zeke can process any of this, Dexter appears behind him, calls the fight a draw, and proceeds to absolutely demolish him anyway. The system immediately starts screaming alerts at Zeke, saying his body's hit its limit from skill spam. His consciousness is shutting down, whether he likes it or not, and he passes out on the spot. Cut to hours later, Zeke wakes up in his room. Dexter probably carried him back. He's mad about losing, but also realistic. The Black Knight was always going to win this. He thinks back on his strategy. He kept repeating the same attacks to make Dexter lower his guard, then switched it up last second with the dragon's full power. Even with all that planning, he barely got one hit in. And that move Dexter pulled at the end definitely his trump card. Zeke's kicking himself for overusing his dragon skills, because if he'd stayed conscious longer, he could have learned more. But at least he saw that secret technique in action. The same ridiculous speed and honed physique that helped Andre climb the ranks despite having trash stamina. The real win here, though, Might of the Dragon was strong enough to make a Black Knight hesitate. Against weaker opponents, they're getting cooked. No contest. Then Zeke gets a system notification. Swift Steps leveled up. But that's not even the crazy part. His soul developed, and he unlocked new system functions he can buy with karma points. He scrolls through and sees a mini-map, inventory, and quest book all available. After checking everything out, he decides to unlock the inventory first. The system explains it's basically magic storage. Think of an item's name or shape and boom, it appears or disappears. Zeke tests it with his claymore. One thought, and the sword vanishes into the inventory window. Another thought, and it's back in his hand. He thought it'd be basic storage, but this is actually insane. In his past life, he struggled so hard to keep valuable artifacts safe. If only he had this back then. Apparently, he can expand the storage with more karma points, too. And the wildest part, this whole thing is just a low-rank administrator skill. Man's already wondering what ungodly powers unlock at high rank. Realizing karma points are valuable as hell, Zeke decides to spend them carefully. But before he can plan anything, there's a knock. Dexter walks in with a message, and when he mentions it's from the Garden Keeper, Zeke smiles. His efforts paid off. Reading the invitation, Dexter tells him he can come back for a rematch whenever. Zeke's hyped because Dexter called their fight a draw before beating his ass, which means there's still a chance to prove himself. Before leaving, Dexter drops one more update. He found the blacksmith Zeke mentioned, but when Zeke asks about setting up an appointment, Dexter awkwardly admits it didn't go well. The blacksmith straight up refused. Zeke's shocked to hear the man's completely given up on forging weapons. The next day, Zeke decides it's time to hit up the blacksmith himself. So there he was standing at the same shop he used to visit in his past life. The second he sees that busted up old sign, nostalgia hits him like a truck. He walks in and immediately starts thinking about his legendary sword from back in the day. The Radiance of Graham. That thing was an absolute beast forged by Galleon, the exact dude he's here to see now. In his past life, this blacksmith made it as a thank you gift for Zeke saving his ass. But Galleon wasn't just some random guy who bangs hammers all day. In-Man earned the title Blacksmith of the Soul because he could literally read your soul and craft the perfect weapon specifically for you. Zeke never questioned it back then. Galleon made exactly what he needed, a sword that could swap ether for aura, which was absolutely cracked. This man was literally called the greatest blacksmith on the entire continent. So seeing him now looking like he crawled out of a dumpster. Zeke shook. Galleon's clearly wasted out of his mind, barely even looks up before telling Zeke to piss off. This isn't a shop for kids, he mumbles. Zeke expected some attitude. Sure, but this level of hostility, something definitely went down before they met in the original timeline, without even thinking twice. Zeke grabs a bucket of water and straight up drenches this drunk bastard. Galleon shoots up like he got electrocuted, and Zeke standing there smirking like, "You awake now?" Demanding to know why he's getting rejected. The second Galleon actually notices the Dreeker logo on our boy's gloves, and his whole energy does a complete 180. The man goes into full panic mode and starts bowing and apologizing, saying he's not worthy to forge weapons anymore. If I can't even create what I want, how the hell am I supposed to make something for others? That's why he stopped taking commissions entirely. Zeke's caught completely off guard. Even someone as legendary as Galleon had a whole mental breakdown arc. In his past life, the blacksmith probably never mentioned this, too embarrassed to admit he failed at something, but Zeke doesn't have time for this therapy session. As Galleon keeps spiraling into his feelings, Zeke snaps him out of it. The blacksmith hesitates, then apologizes again for being a dick earlier. Zeke waves it off and demands to see these so-called failed weapons. After a pause, Galleon sighs and leads him to the back. Seeing him like this, Zeke realizes he's got to help this man find himself again or whatever. Stepping into the backyard, Galleon awkwardly apologizes for the mess, but Zeke brushes it off, saying it actually looks pretty cool. As he starts checking out the weapons, Galleon warns him they're still sharp. But when Zeke actually inspects them closer, something surprising hits him. These weapons aren't failures at all. They're just as high quality as the ones Galleon forged back when he was considered the absolute GOAT. He activates Dragon Eyes to look deeper and immediately spots the problem. He turns to Galleon and asks straight up, "You're having issues with your brayer, aren't you?" Galleon looks absolutely stunned. This kid figured it out that fast. Then Zeke points out something else. Galleon's using this unique smelting method where he mixes different metals to create material that's both lighter and stronger. To prove his point, Zeke casually snaps one of the failed swords clean in half. Pathetic durability. The real problem isn't the technique itself. It's the impurities. Galleon isn't removing them properly, which is why the whole structure is weak as hell. The blacksmith is completely speechless. This kid just saw through his entire forging process in literal seconds and identified the exact flaws with zero effort. After a moment of stunned silence, Galleon suddenly speaks up. "I know this might sound weird, but I've got a request." Back inside, he pulls out a blueprint and slaps it right in front of Zeke. The blueprint for the magic brayer. Zeke recognizes it instantly from his past life. This was the exact design that let Galleon perfect his craft. Back then, the blacksmith trusted him enough to share his greatest secret. History's literally repeating itself right now. Zeke examines the design and immediately gets it. If Galleon completes this brazier, his smelting process will be absolutely flawless. But something's off. If you already have the blueprint, why haven't you built it yet? Galleon sighs. "I'm missing the most important component, the magic core. And the commission fee is 10,000 gold coins." Zeke's eyes go wide because that's absolutely insane. For context, even an average family only spends like 10 gold per month. This is 1,000 times that. No wonder it took Galleon a whole decade to reach the top in his past life. Galleon knows his request sounds batshit crazy, but he's desperate as hell since Zeke's a Draker and a pure-blooded awakener. Maybe he can help get the core. In return, the blacksmith makes a bold offer. If Zeke helps him out, he'll forge any weapon he wants, completely free for as long as he lives. Zeke thinks about it and quickly realizes the problem. It's practically impossible. He's not the family's guardian knight, so there's no way he can gather that ridiculous amount of money. But he needs Graham, the Sword of Radiance, which means he's got to find a way somehow. The issue's tied to mana energy laws, and suddenly an idea hits him, a crazy one. Without hesitation, he accepts Galleon's request and takes the blueprint. The blacksmith looks doubtful as hell, but Zeke confidently tells him he knows a mage who might help. As he turns to leave, he orders the blacksmith to stop drinking his life away. Instead of arguing, Galleon suddenly drops to his knees with the best puppy dog eyes you've ever seen, telling our boy that if he truly does this, he'll serve him for life. Cut to the Draker Academy Professional Research Building. Zeke arrives, still absolutely fuming. These Mage Tower scumbags set the price outrageously high out of pure greed, and he knows it. Walking through the halls, he remembers Fanon's major was related to this exact field. If he can find Fanon's research lab, he might find a workaround. While searching, something in a nearby alley catches his attention. Some kids getting absolutely demolished by bullies, crying and begging for mercy. The boy's completely powerless to fight back. Zeke grits his teeth. This scene, I've seen it before. His past life flashes before his eyes. This exact situation played out back then, too. Clenching his fists in frustration, he changes course and heads straight for the alley. The leader, Leon, sneers down at his victim. "You're worthless," he spits, venting his own frustrations on someone weaker. His anger isn't even about this kid. He's still bitter over losing his physique to Zeke. Taking it out on someone who can't fight back makes him feel in control again. As he stomps the kid's head into the ground, Leon snarls. That wasn't a real fight. That was a cheap shot. Pure luck. He refuses to believe Zeke has any right to be called a pure-blooded awakener. Seeing this scene, our boy gets pissed and tells these bastards that they'd better get to their knees if they value their lives. But folks, what do you know? This bastard, Leon, still can't accept reality. He's out here doubting whether Zeke's awakening is even legit. But Zeke, man, he's not entertaining his clowns. His voice gets ice cold as he goes, "Bow down right now, or you're done for." And then this absolutely terrifying pressure just washes over the whole alley. Leon straight up freezes like his body just hit pause. Cold sweats pouring down his face because he's feeling this paralyzing fear grip him. He's thinking, why the hell does Zeke feel so scary right now? Just a few months back, this dude was literally a joke, a complete nobody. But standing here now, he's a whole different person. Leon grits his teeth, his pride getting absolutely demolished. He calls Zeke some inferior piece of trash and orders his goons to jump him all at once, because that's what smart people do, right? Zeke doesn't even break a sweat. Some dude throws a punch at him, but he dodges it easily while giving them one last warning. Then boom, he just starts dismantling the entire squad. The first guy drops instantly. The next one barely processes what's happening before he's eating dirt. Another comes flying at Zeke, and our boy just catches him midair and yeets him backward like a bag of trash. In literal seconds, the whole gang is laid out on the ground, groaning in pain. Leon's watching this, sweating bullets and thinking, is this really the same Zeke? Our protagonist walks up to him with the cockiest grin you've ever seen and goes, "Relax. It's only going to hurt for a second." Leon is terrified out of his mind. He stumbles back and pulls out his sword, shouting, "Stay away from me. I swear I'll cut you if you come closer." With his hands shaking like crazy, Zeke's expression gets dark, and he calmly reminds this idiot about the rules. Drawing a weapon inside the training area has some serious consequences. Lane's breath catches because he's so panicked he completely forgot about that. Now he's trapped in his own mess like the dumbass he is. But Zeke doesn't let him off easy. He pulls out his own sword and says that according to Academy law, their fight won't end until one of them is dead. Whoever draws first takes full responsibility for whatever happens. No one's going to blame the other to make it official. Zeke points at Liam and makes him their witness. Just as he's about to start, Leon completely loses it. This bully drops to his knees and throws all his pride out the window, begging for mercy like a little Zeke stares down at him, memories from his past life flashing through his mind. He calls Leon a trashy scumbag, and then boom, slashes and takes just his ear. Leon screams, clutching the bleeding wound. But Zeke's not done. He grabs this bastard by the hair and tells him, "Don't even think about reattaching it. If I see you with both ears again, I won't stop there next time." As he was leaving, Liam asks our boy, Why did you help me?" Zeke brushes it off. "I wasn't helping you. I was helping myself." As he walks away, this weird thought pops into his head. Was it Galleon? Did the blacksmith's words actually get to him? He shakes his head and pushes the thought away. Finally, he reaches his destination and finds Professor Fanon. He gave him the blueprint. Without wasting time, Zeke asks if his request is even possible. Fanon gives him a straight answer. It's doable. Relieved, Zeke's about to leave when Fanon stops him. "Hold up. You have to listen first." He explains that while the overall design isn't too complicated, the core is the real issue. The core is basically the heart of the machine. It controls the power output. But because of the circuit's weird restrictions, it needs a massive amount of energy despite being tiny. The real problem? They also got to adjust the energy output in real time or the whole thing becomes useless. Zeke processes all this and asks, so, is there actually a way to make it? Fana nods. There are two options. The first one is completely redesigning the core, but it would take a decade, maybe even 15 years. Zeke's jaw drops. 15 years. Fan sighs and repeats. It would take forever. Then he mentions the second method, one that lets them skip redesigning the core by using a different material. This would save them years. But there's a catch. They need a high-compression mana stone. The second Zeke hears that, he jolts up. You can't be serious. He knows exactly what that is. An ancient artifact so rare that even modern tech can't make it. Fannin confirms it. Yep, and finding one in a ruin is basically impossible. If we want a stone that actually works with this design, it'll cost 3,000 gold. Zeke just goes silent. 3,000 gold. He barely wrapped his head around needing 10,000 for the magic brazier, and now this. He just stands there completely overwhelmed. 15 years is obviously not happening, but 3,000 gold isn't exactly pocket change. And to make things worse, if anyone finds out he can't actually use aura, he'll get kicked out of the academy immediately. Everyone thinks he can wield aura because of what went down at the blessing ceremony. But the truth, it was all smoke and mirrors, a trick using his ether and healing abilities. No matter how hard he tries, he straight up can't use aura. Unlike ether, which normal humans can't control at all or is way more common. That's why Graham, the Sword of Radiance, is absolutely crucial. Without it, his whole future's screwed. While Zeke's lost in thought, Fannin's still geeking out over the blueprint. Whoever designed this the efficiency is insane. Even among relics from the Golden Age, this level of skill is super rare. That's when it hits him. Zeke's eyes widen as an idea forms. He stands up without hesitation. Professor, just focus on refining the design. I'll handle the rest. And with that, he heads out to find his own solution. Fannin looks confused as hell. Wait, are you telling me to spend 15 years reworking this? Zeke shakes his head. Nah, no need for that. I'm bringing you one. With total confidence, he says he knows exactly how to get his hands on a high-compression mana stone. The professor is just standing there with his jaw on the floor, completely speechless. Meanwhile, Zeke's brain is already racing, thinking back to all the history behind these relics. So, get this way back in the Golden Age. Magic was absolutely cracked, like peak civilization type beat. But then, humanity said, fuck dragons. We're done being their bitches, and started this whole ass liberation war. The war finally wrapped up when Taken murdered Bahamut, the evil dragon overlord. After that, humanity chilled for a whole century, living their best lives. But the dragon layers they left behind were loaded with remnants from that golden era. These ancient relics called the Hero King's remnants were so advanced that modern humans can't even figure out how to recreate them. And among all that treasure, the high-compression mana stone, a relic so powerful it could provide energy for an entire village. That's the prize our boy's hunting for. Cut to Draker Academy's central library, and Zeke's walking into this place that's basically abandoned at this point. Nobody uses it anymore, but it's still kept clean and maintained because apparently the legendary hero Tayson Draker himself built this place decades ago. So, it's got that historical significance. You know, Zeke's thinking back to his past life, remembering how during the Academy's record room expansions, they uncovered a bunch of Golden Age relics. The Magic Tower and the Archmage of Nirvana came running, and the discovery sent shock waves across the entire continent. But that was in his past life right now. These relics should still be sitting here untouched, just waiting for him. He starts searching through this massive library, but obviously he's not finding anything immediately. I mean, if these relics were just sitting out in the open, someone would have snagged them ages ago. So, Zeke activates his dragon eyes and scans the room like he's got thermal vision or something. Finally, he spots it. This one weird tile that just doesn't match the rest. He walks up to it and taps it, checking for hidden mechanisms like he's in some Indiana Jones movie. Then, he enables Spirit of the Soul, remembering what his master taught him way back. Basically, ether can materialize and let you apply different properties like cutting or impact. Sounds right? But there's a catch. Ether burns through energy like crazy. Just turning it on is already draining his stamina, and he's feeling the fatigue kick in. But our boy doesn't have time to rest. So, he just pushes through and steps into the opening behind the tile. Now, he's inside this hidden cave, and after lighting a fire to see what's going on, he's frowning. He's thinking, wait, in my past life, these ruins weren't discovered until like a decade later, and I don't remember it being this deep underground. What's going on? Just then, he hears something moving. His heart's pounding, and he's panicking like, did someone already find this place before me? He peeks ahead and spots skeletons. But these aren't your regular dead bodies. Nah, these bastards are moving, holding shovels and pickaxes like they've been digging for something nonstop. Zeke immediately scans them with dragon eyes and confirms they're not controlled by a lich. Good news. That means he can destroy them without dealing with some necromancer. Our boy doesn't waste a second. He activates critical strike and charges forward, going full berserker mode and absolutely shattering these undead workers before they even know what hit them. As he's finishing them off, a system notification pops up saying he earned 2 karma points. Zeke grins because in all his excitement about finding the artifact, this absolute genius completely forgot he could farm karma points this whole time. But now that he remembers, oh, his expression gets wicked. This is the perfect opportunity to grind. He pushes forward without hesitation, tearing through 20 more skeletons like their tutorial enemies, racking up points left and right. Once he's satisfied with his haul, he pulls up the system menu to see what he can buy. Unfortunately, almost everything's still locked because he's broke on karma points. But there's one thing he can afford, the mini-map. He doesn't even think twice and buys it instantly. The system updates right away, showing his exact location. It looks just like a magic map, which is already pretty sick. But then, and this is where it gets crazy, the mini-map shifts into full 3D. Zeke's watching this, absolutely amazed, as the entire layout of the ruins appears before him, like some next-gen GPS system. Then he notices something wild. One room is highlighted in a completely different color. Curious, he clicks on it, and the system labels it as a storage room and even offers to show him the optimal route to get there. Zeke's just stunned, thinking, hold up, the search party in my past life took days to find the storage room, and I just located it in 5 seconds. This system's absolutely broken. He decides to test it out and follows the system's guidance. And holy, navigating is so easy now. He's thinking there's literally no way he'll ever get lost with this skill equipped. Finally, he arrives at his destination, but of course, there's a problem. There's this massive door blocking his way. He frowns and examines it, thinking, yeah, no way this is opening with a simple push, but might as well try. The second his hand touches the surface, a surge of magic just blasts him backward. His glove literally catches on fire, forcing him to yank his hand back immediately. Zeke's staring at his hand, thinking, damn, if I weren't wearing these gloves, my hand would be cooked right now. Now it all makes sense why the Archmage of Nirvana and the Magic Tower came running when this place got discovered in his past life. Realizing he's not going to brute force his way through this door, he turns to the system like, all right, got any ideas? The system connects to the security device and tries to override it, but after a few seconds, it straight up fails. Instead, it activates the manual override. Zeke blinks confused. Wait, did you just reply to me? And the system goes, affirmative. His eyes go wide because he wasn't expecting an actual conversation here. A crazy thought pops in his head if the system can talk to him. Maybe, just maybe, he can get some real answers. So, he immediately fires off the big question. Why was I regressed? No response. All right then. Who's behind the administrator system? Nothing. Frustrated as hell, he tries one last time. Who created this system? But nope, annoyed, he gives up. Fine, forget it. Just open the damn door. The system confirms, and with this low rumbling sound, the entrance to the Dragon Slayer storage room finally unlocks. The second Zeke steps inside, his eyes go wide in pure disbelief, just like they did in his past life. There are rows and rows of chests, absolutely packed with priceless relics and treasures. Finding even one of these in some random ruins is nearly impossible. Yet here they're just sitting here waiting to be claimed. He methodically searches through each chest until he finally spots what he came for. High compression mana stones. There are 4 of them total. Without hesitation, he spends a karma point to expand his inventory and secures one. Unfortunately, his storage is still way too limited to grab everything, so he makes a mental note to come back later when he can claim it all. Just as he's about to bounce, this eerie sensation washes over him. Instinctively, he glances back,